This is Felt Recoil.
And welcome to the Felt Recoil podcast, number 76. That sounded nice and professional. I've been practicing. In the mirror,
I can tell.
at night, while my wife sleeps. I just stand in the bathroom right off the bedroom.
Totally not creepy.
And I say, welcome to the Felt Recoil podcast. And then she wakes up and she goes, what are you doing? I say, wishing I was with my friend. Go back to sleep. All right. My name is Chris. Across from me,
Still creepy.
still creepy Hulon. It's a new nickname for you. I like it.
No, I was talking about you.
Oh, true that. Glad to have you here, Patrick. A lot to get to. Let's see. We need to ask if Trump's going to win the Nobel Peace Prize because he brought the Koreas together, at least for a quick minute. Do you know that Kim Jong-un took his own toilet? Are you aware that that's an actual thing?
Nothing surprised me with that little guy.
That fella took his own portable toilet so that the South Koreans couldn't steal his stool and figure out if he has any health complications. It's a true story. Business Insider ran it.
I mean, looking at him, he looks like the model of health.
Yeah, very much so. The Boy Scouts are now going to just be the Scouts. That's cool, I guess. Turns out, by the way, that deal with the bakers and the gay cakes totally had it wrong. A New York judge says you actually can discriminate against people based on their beliefs, and we'll get into that. And then our vote of the week is a pretty good one this week. It involves hiking and basically anyone that hikes. No, a hiker whose wife thought he was lost, called in a massive search. He was hanging out in a hotel. We'll give you all that. And then some news out of Connecticut that's not fun to share. And then we're going to start with our charity of choice this week, which is some news out of home that is not at all fun to share. Deputy Michael Atwell served 4 years as a United States Marine prior to starting a 19-year career in law enforcement, the last 17 of which he spent in our home county of Greenville County with the sheriff's office here. He had some really complicated illnesses he was battling, passed away last week, and after multiple hospitalizations and other issues from his illnesses, Mike suffered a massive stroke, passed away. He leaves behind a wife, a 6-year-old daughter, and a 10-year-old stepdaughter. There's a GoFundMe page set up for him. We would love to see you support him and donate what you can. You can find it at facebook.com/FeltRecoilShow. This was shared by the Greenville County Sheriff's Office, so it is the legitimate page. Don't feel like you're getting ripped off at all, or, sometimes you go to these funny things and they're a little sketchy, but this one's not. Mike was a regular at the gun shop where we work. Mike is somebody, we knew by sight, probably didn't know us, but, we knew him enough to see him. Type of guy that was always, fun to see. He was always in a good mood. And never, we didn't know, I didn't know him. I can't speak for you, but I didn't know him well enough to know he is battling the illnesses, which I think speaks to the character he probably had when you meet somebody and they're dealing with something that heavy, but that's not what they focus on. They just focus on being there with you, being a nice guy. Speaks well for him. So the Atwell family could use some support. They're facing a mountain of bills, which you just, maybe I'm off base here, but it just kind of seems to me that, yeah, you get all that medical help, but maybe we could reach a thing where if you're in the hospital struggling and you die, I think the hospitals could give you a little relief on that. Like, why are they chasing the wife and children down now for medical expenses? But I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to try and get too deep into that, but maybe we could consider that. Okay. Moving along. Please support him. His family is our charity of choice this week. And again, facebook.com. Just search out Felt Recoil Podcast or go to facebook.com/FeltRecoilShow. Okay. This is from Blue Lives Matter. Multiple officers are reported to be down after an explosion in North Haven, Connecticut, according to Fox 61. North Haven Police Department initially said they were responding to a barricaded subject in the 300 block of Quinnipiac Avenue. Fox 61 reports the suspect had been holding his wife hostage for 4 days. Sometime while officers were on scene, a massive explosion erupted, injuring numerous officers. Neighbors tell Fox 61 they heard SWAT breaking the door, and they believe the suspect had rigged his house to explode. Multiple buildings are reported to be on fire. Officers appear to be trying to talk to a suspect through a loudspeaker. That is chaotic, to say the least. So keep your eyes on this. This was posted an hour ago as we record at 11 o'clock on Wednesday night. So we'll see how that unfolds. But keep those guys in your thoughts and prayers. Okay? All right. Let's do a complete 180. Try and lighten the mood a little bit. Yeah.
How are we going to lighten the mood with this story?
Right.
What are you talking about? I appreciate the attempt at a segue, but
okay,
this is pretty awkward.
This is a little awkward, right?
I think it's really awkward.
Let's start with Trump.
Okay.
I just pulled up the Boy Scouts changing their names, and the Girl Scouts are going to follow suit. It is the dumbest thing. That could almost be your vote in and of itself. Legitimately, the question now everyone's asking is, will Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize? I saw there's some congressmen who are saying he deserves it for whatever it is he did that brought the Koreas together. They have formally ended the Korean War. But if you're paying attention to the bigger picture, did you see Netanyahu in his speech? Israel.
Seen some headlines. I didn't actually watch the speech.
All right, so here's what happened. Israel basically pulled off an intelligence coup against Iran and stole hundreds of thousands of files from Iran's nuclear facility and then shared them with the world.
I've seen Munich. I know not to mess with Mossad.
Right, exactly.
Those guys don't play.
There's a lot of dead Iranians out there right now going, what happened? Well, no, they're not. They're dead. So dead Persians and the Israelis have these documents that now prove that Iran actually never gave up its nuclear program.
What?
I know.
Hang on.
Yeah.
The previous guy who occupied the White House, who
Right.
got a Nobel Peace Prize,
Yes.
told us that if we did this deal where we shipped them pallets of cash money,
Right.
that they couldn't do this anymore. They can't.
Now, to Obama's credit, he was pretty cozy with Jay-Z.
I wonder if he told them, if you like your nuclear reactors, you can keep them.
No, he did the opposite.
Oh.
He did the opposite.
Okay.
He said you got to get rid of them in exchange for cash money. Well, the way I imagine it is there's Jay-Z. He's in the Situation Room, if you remember the infamous picture.
Sure.
And Obama comes in, and he's like, hey, man, while you're here, like, what would you do about Iran? And Jay-Z says, everybody loves cash money records. That's the thing.
What if when Jay-Z walked into the Situation Room, he's like, hey, Hillary, you're in my seat.
Maybe.
And made her move.
Maybe.
I bet that happened.
I'm guessing something like that went down, and Jay-Z convinced the president, send Iran a bunch of cash, and they'll back off because everybody loves cash money. And Obama said it's brilliant, and so that's what they did. But as it turns out, Iran has still secretly been going after nuclear weapons. They had plans on how to build a nuclear bomb, what to do with it, scheduling. They were showing, the enrichment dates, how long it would be until certain amounts of uranium were enriched, and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't help that Hillary legitimately sold control of American uranium to the Russian government by proxy, but she did it, made tens of millions of dollars off the deal.
Personally.
So, yes, personally. And so this whole region of the world is entirely unstable. Israel comes out and says these guys are getting nuclear weapons because they didn't stop doing what they're doing. And then, for some reason, we're naive enough, at least the media seems to be naive enough to go, that's fine, but at least the Koreas are getting along. And you go, no.
Right.
No, they're not. Actually, what happened, in fact, let me look this up. I should have had this handy. North Korea's nuclear facility collapsed. And that happened about, here you go. This is from The Guardian. North Korea's main nuclear test site has partially collapsed under the stress of multiple explosions, possibly rendering it unsafe for further testing. So it's not that North Korea wanted to walk away from its nuclear testing. It's the fact that the place they were doing it legitimately collapsed. And so North Korea goes, well, how do we make lemonade out of lemons? We act like we'll be peaceful with the Southies, as I'm assuming they call them. Let's be peaceful with the Southies.
I'm sure that's what it is.
And I'll go shake some hands, poop in my own toilet, come home. And the world will think we're just ready to get along. And so what happens? So we think they're getting along. South Korea has probably leveraged North Korea and said, if we'll sign some agreements and you play nice, we can probably get away with pushing the Americans out. And now the Americans leave. And then what do you think is going to happen? So I'm not really convinced Trump deserves anything until we can prove. I think there has to be a threshold here. Hey, let's give him the Nobel Peace Prize for bringing peace to the Koreas. And then somebody in the room can go, just real quick. So you kind of remember we did that with Carter on the Israeli-Palestinian front, and then there was never really any peace. And then hopefully the room goes, yeah, that's a good point. Frank's got a point over there. So how long do they have to remain peaceful in order to get the prize?
Yeah, but...
And then they come up with something.
But did those guys plant a pine tree?
That's a great question.
Because I bet they didn't.
Probably not.
So the Korean guys, they got together over a pine tree. Which the news told me was symbolic of peace. Which I thought was mostly symbolic of pollen. But maybe that's just coming from a guy with allergies.
Just
I don't know.
I like to imagine that old Kim Jong-un, Rocket Man there, had his ear pods in and was listening to the Nirvana Unplugged album. My girl. You know that one where he's like, where he murders his girlfriend and buries her in the pines, and then he's all screaming, in the pines, where the sun will never shine. But Kim's like digging away the whole time. I wonder if the other guy is like, you have a chick name, right? Kim, Kim, and they're all mad at each other. Anyway, all right. I don't think Trump deserves it because there will be no peace. I get the idea of it, but if we're handing out Nobel Peace Prizes for just the idea of things, then all you got to do is say, be black and get elected to a high office, and they'll hand you one.
That's what you call a shoe-in.
Wait a second. I think that's what they did. All right. If you have a legitimate reason that Trump should get it, I would like to hear it. You can email us, Chris, K-R-I-S, @feltrecoilshow.com. Patrick, common spelling for a common man, @feltrecoilshow.com as well. I would love to hear the just pragmatic approach as to why Trump deserves the Peace Prize. Okay? That's it. Before we get too deep into the Boy Scouts, look, here's the thing about the Boy Scouts. So if you haven't heard, according to the Washington Post, which, my goodness, this is called Kids Post. That's a thing. That's a section of the Washington Post is called Kids Post. Don't let your children read that.
I'm sure your boys are probably looking that up on the old iPad.
Right. Definitely not. The group will now be known not as the Boy Scouts, but as Scouts BSA. The girls will get their own units in February. Of what? Of Scouts BSA? So no more. Really, the only concern I have is where do I get my cookies? Like, that's a legit concern I have now. If they're not Girl Scout cookies, we have to rebrand the cookies.
This isn't about Girl Scouts, though. This is just about Boy Scouts.
It's about both.
That's not what I heard.
Boy Scouts are changing their name.
Okay. What? Wait. Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's just say they do that.
Okay.
And they're changing their name out of fairness. What if we were to, I don't know, have an alternate group for the other sex where they could have their own thing?
Patrick. Okay.
And then that could just be its own deal where they have cookies and meetings, and then the other group could do the thing where they like whittle little cars and like run them down the track and take awkward camping trips or whatever it is they do. Learn how to tie knots.
Right.
Not do anything with firearms. And then they could just be their own group.
So I think what you're missing, I thought I'd made this clear, is that in today's society, you must be different to be better, to seem smart. like we've talked about with the artists of the world these days, if you just dress like a buffoon, you can draw squiggly lines with a pen, and Casey Neistat will make an entire video about how just amazing your art is, which is a legit thing. Go look for the video of him talking to the young girl.
I think Casey Neistat's stoned all the time. I swear he's always wearing glasses inside.
I wouldn't doubt that. He claims, FYI, he claims he does it because he looks at the monitor the whole time. So he flips his little camera monitor around so he can see what the camera's capturing.
I think it's called a vape pen in public.
I think he's high. All right. Here's the point. What you're missing is it's already the exact way you described. And although there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing wrong with what you described except the fact that you are kind of you're really exploiting some gender stereotypes there where you're saying the girls should bake the cookies and the boys should build the cars. So we have to change it from what it is just so that we can seem like we're evolving and we're smarter than the people before us. It doesn't actually have to be better. It just has to be different so we can convince ourselves we've evolved into a higher level of being. Does that make sense?
No. Any more questions?
The Washington Post says for 108 years, the Boy Scouts of America's flagship program has been known simply as the Boy Scouts. With girls soon entering the ranks, the group says that name will change. The organization on Wednesday announced that the Boy Scouts, the program for 11 to 17-year-olds, will now be Scouts BSA. The change will take effect in February. What are we talking about here? It's going to take effect in February of next year? All right, great, whatever. Says Chief Scout Executive Mike Surbaugh, we're trying to find the right way to say we're here for both young men and young women. The Boy Scouts are here for both young men and young women. Surbaugh says that boys and girls in Scouts BSA will refer to themselves simply as Scouts rather than adding boy or girl. The parent organization will remain the Boy Scouts of America and the Cub Scouts. The BSA's program serving children from kindergarten through 5th grade will keep its name. The organization, which announced last fall that it would allow girls to participate, started admitting them into the Cub Scouts in January. Scouts BSA will accept girls next year. I mean, I guess like they got this cute picture of this young lady holding a toolbox, so maybe that's what it's about, is that girls like to build toolboxes. Here's what I don't understand. If it's all about the fact that girls want to do the same activities as the boys and vice versa, then why not just start those activities within the Girl Scouts or within the Boy Scouts? My oldest son, is 5 years old. Do you really think he totally wants to go hang with a bunch of girls that he doesn't know? Absolutely not. Maybe his female cousins, but otherwise he wants to be around other young boys and do what boys do. They want to make fart noises and burp and spit on things and dig in mud. That's just what boys like to do. Certainly there's girls that want to do those things too. We call them not marriage material, but I digress. Certainly there's little girls that like to do that stuff too. Their little sister will be that way, I'm sure. So our daughter will come up under two boys, beating her to a pulp and learning that, she has to be tough to survive. But can't the Boy Scouts just say, okay, well, if we have a percentage of boys that want to have a bake sale, then we'll have a bake sale. And if we have, and the Girl Scouts can say if we have a percentage of girls that want to build things, then we'll have a day and an activity where we build things. Again, I think it's just a highlight.
So are you suggesting that the Scouts have like a charter school type scenario where if you're good at this, we're going to put you over here. Whether you're a boy or a girl, you can go over here and do the cookie thing. Or maybe these people can go sell popcorn.
Hey, man, if that's what you're into, go do it. Why not? But you can still be Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and that can be your main thing. Right? Again, I just think the whole point is they want to look like they're evolving, so they do something different. It doesn't have to be smart. It doesn't have to be better. It just has to be different. And then you get to go around and tell everybody, well, you're a bigot for not supporting me because you can't understand how this different is better because you're stuck in the 4th century where you want to, whip and beat women and keep them as slaves. And yes, I do. But again, not really the point. Not really the point. Whatever, I guess. Here's the thing. It's such a non-issue for me because already I understand that the Boy Scouts is not something my kids will ever associate with, right? It's not an organization that I think has the same values I have. So my boys aren't going to be Boy Scouts. We're going to find other programs in the area. Because here's the thing. The Boy Scouts, this is a great example of how when you want to control the government, don't vote in the presidential election. Vote in city council elections, right? Keep it local. All government, all politics are local, but your government actually is local, right? So if you want to affect change in the government, the easiest way for you to do that is to begin voting in the most localized election you can find. So if you want your kids to actually learn things from good people and have the same values you have, find the activity, the organization in your community that's doing these types of activities and put them in that so that your neighbors are leading it. And by the way, so that your neighbors aren't controlled by an organization that's centralized somewhere way far away like the Boy Scouts are.
This was a really strange way for you to announce your candidacy for city council.
Yes, absolutely.
As a potential write-in candidate.
I've always said, and in case I haven't said it here, I will be the do-nothing candidate. And you say, that sounds terrible, but listen to me. Chris Vermillion is the do-nothing candidate. You know what's wrong in your life? Too much government. You know what you need less of in your life? Government. So you elect me, I do nothing, you win. The do-nothing candidate.
I don't know why that hasn't caught on already.
I mean, it will be a thing. Well, because it's trademarked. You can't do it till I do it.
Does that mean you haven't done anything in terms of like running as well, which is why you haven't gone anywhere with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now it's starting to make sense.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Pretty much, I'm the best.
Never had a doubt.
I have to tell you one quick thing, by the way, about these kids. We went to a program for my son tonight. He completed a year inside this program at the church, and that's great, and I'm happy for him, and he's so excited. But it occurred to me that nobody listens to each other, ever. Have you ever heard someone say to you, to really communicate, learn to listen and stop listening for your chance to talk? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I sat in a lot of meetings today at work, so yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
So you start looking around at people, and I'm sure this happens on a professional level, and you think to yourself, Guy A either didn't listen to what Guy B was saying, well, really vice versa. But the point is, this guy is now saying the exact same thing that this guy just said. And so we're sitting in the church tonight, and one guy gets up, and I just want to say, great to all these kids, and now, the assistant teacher wants to say something, and the assistant teacher gets up and just repeats everything the first teacher says, and you go, okay, I can deal with that. But then when it's 6 times in a row and you got a dozen people talking and they're all repeating, I was like, can we just stop for a second and everybody agree that when people are speaking, especially in a public forum, maybe we just calm down enough to listen to what that person said. And if they've already said what you had to say, there's nothing wrong with going, well, old Mark there kind of said it all. We're just real proud of your kids, and thanks for bringing them here. You need not pronounce every syllable the same way Mark did. Mark already said it. You're allowed to go, hey, Mark did a pretty good job there. So that's really why we're here, is to say what Mark said. And so congrats to Mark. I also find it funny. I have this thing that you grew up in Lutheran church, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not sure if Lutheran churches do it like Baptist churches do.
I doubt it. I don't even know what we're talking about, but I doubt it.
Where members of the congregation lead prayer. Like they get up and lead like a impromptu prayer, if you will, like off the cuff. Is Lutheran a little scripted? Like is everything?
I would say very scripted.
Okay.
In the ELCA, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America.
Gotcha.
So there's sort of 2 factions of the Lutheran Church. There's kind of the old school, what they call the Missouri Synod, which is very old school. They haven't really changed much since the mid-1800s. And then the ELCA is a more snazzy modern version, but still very scripted. And I mean, while they pretend to be a little bit more forward, I don't see it as that way.
Baptist churches have a weekly competition to see who can put the most adjectives before the word Lord or God in their prayer to show that they understand him better. This is like a legitimate thing where someone different will lead prayer every week, and it's almost like that person's mission to use the word benevolent, kind, almighty, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, caring, loving God. Like, just to show, I mean, I know, I've got all these words I use.
There's a guy at the back's like, got it.
Right. But here's the thing. This is what I realized tonight. So I've always thought, in a sense, there's a fine line between sincerity and being competitive.
Sure.
Right? So you got, if they come to you and they go, we want you to pray this week, my answer is going to be no. Just legitimately no. And I don't do like the out loud prayer with other people. Like growing up in our church, we would go to these Wednesday night services where they wanted you to get with 4 people you had only met once before. And all right, now we're all going to pray out loud together. And it would always turn into that. Like, well, we're going to compete to say the most, and Jesus, had the famous thing Jesus said where you pray in your closet, right? You don't pray in front of men. You don't go out and showboat. And again, I'm also very cynical and just a jerk. So it's probably all in my head.
Bingo.
But sometimes I just get to go, okay, listen, you could have kept this much more simple than you did. There's no need for you to be doing what you're doing right now. But I realized tonight that there's something about when you give someone the pulpit. Like when they're allowed up on the stage in church, they just feel like, okay, I have to show everybody that I'm worthy to stand in the pulpit, so let me crack the Bible. Now, I know we're here to give the kids trophies for memorizing verses, but I feel compelled to tell you everything you need to know now. So hang tight, here we go. And it's like...
It's not really a thing in the Lutheran church, to answer your question.
I had a friend named Daniel growing up, and he's passed away, but he was one of the funniest guys you'd ever meet. And he would do this thing in church where he would start miming as if he was wrapping a gift. And he'd go, wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. It would cracked me up hardcore every time. But anyway, I was thinking that tonight because we entered this section where, so they had give you perspective, there's 5 classes, right? So you had your 3 and 4 year olds, then you had your 5 and 6 year olds, and then you had your first or the second and third graders, and then 4th and 5th graders, and then 6th graders. So we had to sit through 2 leaders from each of those classes telling us how proud they were of the class, which is totally cool and I'm fine with. But then by the end, it was, also, we're all now going to give you a challenge of some sort. And I was like, come on now. I got a 3-year-old in my lap. You said 8 o'clock. It's 8:15 knocking, Let's wrap it up. Anyway, I guess I got on that because I kind of feel like sometimes, and I'm not saying this is what happened tonight, but sometimes it seems, as the Boy Scouts are doing here, the adults have a way of ruining everything, of making it about them and making sure you understand. I was cracking a joke with my wife the other night because they announced the opening of this new gymnasium, and the youth leader said, I know all the kids are excited about the gym, but I told them, you don't be excited about that gym. You be excited about what we're going to use that gym for. And I was like, we got to really suck the air out of everything. These kids can't just enjoy the fact they built this new gym for them. We have to tell them, don't you dare be excited for that. Be excited for this reason. Let's not ruin everything for the kids. Let's let the kids have some fun. That's kind of what the Boy Scouts are doing here. All right, kids, we understand you're having a really good time, but there's this thing called #MeToo and gender pay equality, and we need to make sure you understand that at 5 and 6 years old. So no more Boy Scouts, no more Girl Scouts. You're just gonna be Scouts, and that's the way the world should be.
And if you guys could hurry up and sell that popcorn, we got some support staff we need to pay.
I want to know. Here's the thing. It's like this. I want to see where they videotape all these kids, and you get all these muddy little boys in a room, and you say, all right, guys, raise your hand if you think all the girls should be allowed to come in here and play. And then once you go to the girls' cabin and do the exact same thing, raise your hand if you think all the boys should be able to come in here and play. And you will find that naturally those kids want to stay away from each other. Let's not inject our politics and our mission into everything with the kids. Just let them be kids for a minute, okay?
Oh, you got to indoctrinate them young, though.
Yeah, that's true. All right. A judge has ruled in New York City that a bar can refuse service to a Trump supporter for wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Isn't that awesome? I'm actually really excited about this story.
It's a whole new world.
A Manhattan judge ruled Wednesday that kicking a Trump supporter out of a bar does not violate the law because the law does not protect against political discrimination. Greg Piatek of Philadelphia claims he was refused service and eventually removed from a New York City bar in January of 2017 for wearing a Make America Great Again hat in a lawsuit against the establishment. Anyone who supports Trump or believes in what you believe is not welcome here, and you need to leave right now because we won't serve you, is what he claims the staff of the Happiest Hour told him. That's ironic. He claims the incident offended his sense of being an American. Oh, my gosh. This is an actual lawsuit. That's probably the best part.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Now we're suing people because we feel offended. Love it. The lawyer...
I think we've been doing that for a while.
Right?
It's not new.
Fair enough. Where's my cake? The lawyer representing the Happiest Hour, Elizabeth Conway, argued that he was not discriminated against because only religious, not political beliefs are protected under state and city discrimination law. Supporting Trump is not a religion, Conway argued. Piatek's attorney responded in court that the purpose of the hat is that he wore it because he was visiting the 9/11 memorial. All right, I can't take this guy seriously anymore. He was paying, this is verbatim. You can read this on our Facebook page. He was paying spiritual tribute to the victims of 9/11. The Make America Great Again hat was part of his spiritual belief. Rather than remove his hat, instead he held true to his spiritual belief and was forced from the bar. Here's the thing. We now know that the left is the only group of people willing to kill, maim, torture, and silence those who dissent against them, okay? If Alfie Evans taught us anything over there in the UK this week, as he passed away, is that once the left has a belief, you have to die so that they can hold their belief, all right? You don't really find many conservative thinkers, libertarians, or right-wingers who say, if my belief causes you to die, then so be it. But you find it on the left. You find it on the left all the time. You find them kicking people off social media. You see YouTube going after gun channels. You see YouTube and Facebook censoring conservatives. And again, I hate it. They are private entities. They are controlling the information. It is a massive problem, but that's just the way the world is. I think this guy's greater message here is to say, see, this is how the left treats people. Did you see Milo Yiannopoulos get booed out of the bar? Did you see that?
Yeah, I caught that.
All right. And then you got this guy, same issue, right? If you're a conservative thinker, you're not even welcome to go into an establishment where liberals are hanging out. Just understand that that's the mentality of the left. And you can start to win the culture war by highlighting these types of things. Don't go in there and say, it's my spiritual hat that I wear to the 9/11 memorial. And now you look like a moron, like an absolute glib dolt. But either way. All right. So the judge says, too bad. He made a ruling on the matter saying the incident amounted to nothing more than a petty slight. Plaintiff does not state any faith-based principle to which the hat relates, the judge said. Here, the claim that plaintiff was not served and eventually escorted out of the bar because of his perceived support of President Trump is not outrageous conduct. Question, serious question, would the judge still make the bakeries put it on a cake?
That is a solid question.
Because being gay is not religious, it's political, right?
Mm-hmm.
The stance against homosexuality, there's no religion of homosexuality. There's those that believe you're born that way, and there's those that believe you choose it. So really, there's those that say it's not a religion, you're born that way, and those who say it is because you choose it.
Now that you've put that out there, someone's probably going to start the Church of the Gay.
That would be awesome. You could go. All right. Hey now. Anyway, so that's interesting and ridiculous all at the same time. Okay, let's get into our vote of the week. This is probably one of my favorite votes we've had.
This is a good one.
This is one of those things, again.
This isn't one of those serious votas.
It's not better, it's just different. That's what gets this guy in trouble, all right? This is from Boston.com. A missing hiker was found at the Mount Washington Hotel, and now he's getting billed for the search.
Looks like the place where The Shining was filmed.
It really does look like that. A Massachusetts hiker likely will be billed for the costs of an extensive search in New Hampshire last week that resulted in him being found in a luxury hotel. Exactly how much Christoph Chamley, 70 years old, of Cambridge, Massachusetts, will be asked to pay will be determined by the New Hampshire Attorney General's office, according to the newspaper. Colonel Kevin Jordan, chief of the law enforcement division of the state's Fish and Game Department, says he estimates the bill will be several $1,000s. Chamley has a medical condition. He set out to climb Mount Adams and Mount Jefferson on April 22nd with the intent of returning home that evening. After he was found, officials say he told them, here you go, he sent his wife a message through the app WhatsApp telling her he decided to stop his hike and spend the night at the Mount Washington Hotel. She just didn't receive it because the app wasn't working. He didn't call her. He didn't send her an actual text. He used the WhatsApp to send her a message.
I don't even know what that is.
And she never got it.
I mean, I'm always like a couple years behind when it comes to this, whatever the new hotness is.
It is, and it's an app you download that allows you to text your friends. That's all I really know about it.
I have that already. It's called an iPhone.
It's called a cell phone, right? You don't even have to have an iPhone. It's I have a friend who asked me to download it, and I downloaded it, and I used it like twice with him, and then I was like, to be honest with you, I'm just gonna have to text you because I don't see every time. I don't see the notification. It's a lot easier for me if we just text.
I mean, is it like encrypted? Is there some special feature that I'm just missing?
Well, let's see what their selling point is on it. Here's what it reminds me of. Have you seen the Waiter app?
What did I just tell you?
Okay.
You don't listen. I'm not hip to all the cool whatever the kids are talking about in the street when they're eating Tide Pods, man. I don't know about this stuff.
So it says with WhatsApp, you'll get fast, simple, secure messaging and calling for free, available on phones all over the world.
So you're saying I can use this and not pay Verizon?
Yeah, I guess that's it. If you're not paying for unlimited texting, is that still a thing? Do people still pay for a limited amount of texting?
That would be hilarious, actually.
Simple, reliable messaging. You can keep in touch with groups, keep the conversation going on web or desktop. You can seamlessly sync all of your chats. Okay, so that I get if you're not an iPhone user. Now it starts to make sense. For Android users, this makes total sense because one of the reasons I don't switch to Android's platform is because on my computer I have the messaging app, which is exactly what you're texting when you text me on my iPhone. But if I'm texting iPhone users, I can just look at my computer and see what they're texting to my phone, vice versa. So, okay, now I kind of get it. So that's what they're doing. But he sent her a message on there, and she never got it. And
I still don't get it. Why would you not have an iPhone? Okay, sorry.
Real quick, by the way. So the Waiter app is running commercials for the Greenville market on social media. So if you use social media, here's what you'll see. You won't even know what it is because you're going to see a commercial of a guy delivering a pizza to a girl in a gym. And I swear this is
That's
true.
where I eat my pizza.
Right. There's
just burned off 9 calories on this Stairmaster. Better eat a pizza.
There's a row of stationary bikes and girls on the bikes, and then there's, obviously an attractive young lady, and she's getting a pizza delivered. And the Waiter app is telling you, use our app, and you can get pizza delivered to you. And my gripe with that is you don't need an app to order pizza. You do, actually. Okay. So have I not said this here before? So here's how my family.
I have that already. It's
Papa John's.
John's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
What in the world?
So when my son plays soccer, which the season just ended, but when the season's on Tuesdays, I know when the soccer game ends, and the kids like to do pizza on Tuesday nights. It's kind of, okay, it was soccer night. Nobody really wants to cook because we're going to stand outside for an hour and a half. So we'll order pizza, and I will pull my phone out at 7 o'clock sharp. I'll place the order for the pizza, and then by the time we get there, it's ready. I go in and get it, and Papa John's has my card on file. So, I mean, I've ordered and I've paid. Nobody's going to use the Waiter app to get pizza delivered because they already have. So my point to the Waiter app is, why don't you find a not traditionally delivered food and feature that on your app? Because Mexican restaurants don't deliver food.
Novel idea.
I love tacos. So why don't you show somebody getting that, you know how when you get Mexican takeout, you get that like huge to-go bag stacked full of the aluminum trays. I'm hungry just thinking about it. Show that being delivered. That's how to get your message across, that whatever the non-traditionally delivered food item is you want, that's what we can deliver. That's how
I would say that's a marketing failure there.
So
hey, what can we advertise that's different about us that everybody already does?
Right. Everybody gets pizza delivered. It had to have been thought of this way. Everybody gets pizza delivered, so everyone needs our app.
Right. So, but pizza is the wrong choice, right?
Right, because you can just call the pizza shop.
And then food to the gym, also the wrong choice.
Well, yeah, it's a failure all around, isn't it?
I mean, like, who's their marketing guy?
I bet I know. I bet I know.
Yeah, we could probably come up with a short list. All right.
Moving right along.
Anyway.
Inside humor. I wish I could say his name. All right, let's see here. So where were we? Oh, yes. So that's my problem with the WhatsApp is for me, there's no void to be filled with that. You know, that's a solution looking for a problem. Anyway, according to the union leader, the message this man sent his wife failed to send to the messaging program WhatsApp, and Chamley woke up the next day unaware that there was a search underway for him. Authorities learned he was at the resort when they contacted his family to give an update on the search. He says it's just unfortunate the message wasn't delivered, and the authorities say their position is that they utilized a lot of people and a lot of resources for something that could have been avoided by a simple phone call. See? A phone call. Better. Not different, but better.
If he had just used his iPhone, she would have got the message.
That's what I'm saying.
But, I mean, Android's better and all that, and so now they're using apps you don't need, so nobody knew. And so they're making this guy apparently pay the money back, right? For
a chunk
of
resources
for
thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. Do I understand you correctly that we're going to blame this entire incident on Android?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just wanted to be
That's
real clear there.
100%.
Real clear. For his part,
also, if you're using Android, you're dumb. No? I can't. Was I not supposed to say that? Okay, yeah, that's right. Podcast.
I will tell you this: if everything worked on the same platform, I would own the Samsung Galaxy 9 well over my iPhone X. But I can't get on board with the Android platform for many reasons. But anyway, Samsung makes a better phone, in my opinion. But I like the integration.
Make a hell of a washer and dryer.
Yeah,
and also a refrigerator. So,
I mean, they're doing it. They know what they're doing. All right. If by the way, before we wrap up, if you're going to be at NRA and you want to hang out, shoot me an email. Flying out Friday morning, day after tomorrow. Flying out Friday for NRA. So if you're going to be there for the annual meetings, I'll find you. We'll say hello. I found out today that my buddy Jeremy's not going. So
what?
I'm pretty bummed. I'll look a little sad, but that's about it. Here's what I want to do. I want to get on camera. This is what I thought. I want to be on camera asking Instructor Zero how many tactical response classes he had to take to get that good. That's my goal.
I hope you do get that on camera so that he murders you.
That's my goal for NRA this time. We met him last time. He was super nice. I just want to walk up and be like,
Probably one of the nicer people we dealt with, actually.
Here's the way that goes, though. The problem with that joke is that he has to either take me as a Jaeger supporter or get that I'm making fun of the fact that Jaeger would think Zero needs a Jaeger class. So from my perspective...
all of those are awesome options.
Right. From my perspective, I'm saying to him, isn't it funny that you're so much better than James Jaeger? But he could take it as me saying, you know, how many of those classes did you have to take? Because he's better than you. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
It
absolutely.
could easily be misconstrued.
And I hope it is.
And you could die.
And I hope he chokes you out on the show floor in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, he's only like 5'5".
He's like, I see
but
him.
I could see him like climbing you like a lumberjack climbs a tree just to get to your throat.
What I would like is that it makes the news, right? Like, oh, violent attack at NRA. So obviously the media would run with it. And you got Zero, and he's like knocked me to the ground. He's straddling, you know, my chest, and he's choking me out. And like, I'm going, wait. And I like squeeze a felt recoil sticker out and show it to the camera and give it a thumbs up. But I'm slowly dying, you know, the life's being choked out of me, but I'm all happy about it. All right. Anyway, that's kind of my, if I could do anything, that's what I would do. I'd get Zero on camera.
Hope you guys enjoyed this. The last episode of the Felt Recoil podcast.
Wouldn't that be fun? All right, shoot me an email. We'll try and meet up if you're headed to Dallas. And if you are an NRA member, consider supporting Adam Kraut for the NRA board. That's a good guy. He wants to make positive change. I think he lost last year by something like 60 votes.
It was in the 60 range. Yeah, it was not a lot.
Man. So if you're going to be there, bring your credentials so you can get in and vote for him, and then let's get him on that board. All right, we will see you next week for what will be episode 77 of the Felt Recoil Podcast.